The May 22nd, 2013 special meeting of the Monroe County Legislature will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
President Adair.
Here.
Mr. Ansello. Here. Ms. Andrews. Here. Mr. Antelli. Here. Mr. Barker. Here. Mr. Baroth. Here. Ms. Boyce is excused. Dr. Carbone. Here. Mr. Colby. Here. Mr. Daniele. Here. Mrs. Draw. Here. Mr. Gamble is excused. Mr. Gamina. Mr. Haney, Mr. Hanna, Mr. Howland, Ms. Kaylee, Mr. John Lightfoot, Mr. Willie Lightfoot is excused. Mr. McCann, Mr. Michike, Mr. Morelli, Mr. Patterson, Dr. Quattro, Mr. Rocco, Mr. Tucciarello, Mrs. Valerio, Mr. Wilcox, Mr. Yolovich.
At this time, I'd like to begin our meeting with a moment of silent prayer. Legislator Rick Antelli will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator Antelli. Pursuant to the authority invested in me as President of the Monroe County Legislature by Section C2-9C1 of the County Charter and Section 545-5 of the Rules of the Legislature of the County of Monroe, I hereby have directed this special meeting to be called to consider file number 13-0182 be deemed as a matter of urgency pursuant to Section 545-24A3 of the rules of the Monroe County Legislature as of the County of Monroe. Cheryl?
Oh. There is a hearing loop in place to assist those who are hearing impaired. Anyone requiring assistance should require in the clerk's office. Thank you.
We will now hold a public forum. Is there anyone registered to address the legislature? Mrs. Rossi?
There are no registered public forum speakers.
This concludes the public forum. Will the clerk please read the first item on the agenda?
Item number 1, referral 13-182.A.
Moved by Legislator Yolovich, second by Legislator Howland. Before we get to discussion, I would like Jerry Helfer from the administration to give us a little briefing of why we're here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, at the May 14th legislature meeting, I had advised the legislature that it could proceed with consideration of the home rule message resolution on the Assembly bill, which then was A-6754, because legal counsel in the state legislature had indicated that the punctuation discrepancies between the Assembly bill and the same-as Senate bill were not of sufficient significance to require a formal amendment of the Assembly bill. Based on that advice, your honorable body then unanimously approved the home rule message resolutions for both the Assembly and Senate bills. We were then informed the day after the May 14th legislature meeting that it was subsequently determined by legal counsel in Albany that, in fact, formal amendment of the Assembly bill would be required, and the Assembly bill was amended that day, May 15th of last week. As a result, a new home rule message resolution will have to be approved by your honorable body before either house of the state legislature can act on the newly amended Assembly bill, and that is why we are before you today with this matter of urgency.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item carries. There being no other business tonight, Mr. Tucciarello.
Until Tuesday, June 11th, 2013 at 6